Awesome. Yeah. Obviously we're in our second to last week of practice. But I appreciate the guys' effort. I know they're getting a little bit tired from the weight room. We've really been attacking the weight room, trying to improve their bodies. And you can see towards the end of the week, really exerting that energy. But really proud of how they're coming together. Like this group is connected, a lot more than I probably expected at this point. But I think it shows how well they're getting along, and just competing, like making each other better. We talk about iron sharpens iron, and these guys are really pushing each other in practice, and I appreciate that. And even when it's like always when one guy's doing something great, somebody's getting exposed. And so coaching the guy that's getting exposed, but I'm proud of the guy making the other guy better. And it's been fun to watch these guys, but it's fun to see like the competitiveness of this group, and you can tell they care, and that's why they are getting better and better.
Conditioning wise with this team, I'm looking. The first thing I notice is Frank doesn't have a huge knee brace on. Nobody's got any knee braces on. Nobody's got any elbow pads on. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean Frank's in the best shape of his life. He's probably down 10 pounds from last year, but this is the first time he's been healthy. And I was telling him like the reason we're seeing a big jump in his improvement in production is because he's available. He's actually able to practice 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days in a row. And so it's easier to have that. He's more comfortable in his body too. I think he's, mentally kind of over the injuries, and he's playing all out. And so it's been fun to see his confidence kind of grow each day, but it all stems from just being available.
As you kind of come to the end of this summer workout period, where do you think this team has grown the most as a whole?
Probably just being connected, like really caring for each other, and you can see it's genuine. We're starting to share the basketball. Like I said, the first couple of weeks, everybody wants to show how good they are scoring the ball, and now I think they've seen, okay, Kamari can really shoot the ball. Okay, he's making great plays and great decisions. Wesley's shooting the ball like he always does. Dez is getting the ball to the paint. And I could go on and on about every guy, but now the role definition is starting to come into play, and they're starting to define their own roles, which is great. We haven't had to do it yet. Now, come September, that's when I have to do it. But they're doing a good job of kind of figuring out their roles on their own, and they know the one role everybody has to have is, like, you better play hard because we have too much talent. If you don't play hard and don't defend and rebound, it's going to be hard to get on the court.
The guy who seems to really change things on the floor when Jacob is out hitting the threes, it just seems like things change. And he had to be the guy, previously. He doesn't have to be the guy, but it looks like he can be the guy if needed. Can you talk about Jacob a little bit?
Jacob, he's just a really good basketball player. He's really skilled. He's 6'8", 240. He's tough, but his skill level really helps us. It helps everybody else get shots. But like you said, when he's making threes, we're going to be a totally different team. We're going to be really hard to guard, and I expect him to shoot a tremendous percentage and shoot a lot of them because he spaces the floor so different for us, and he opens up driving lanes for our guards, for Dez and Zoom and Kamari, and it's going to be a huge part of our offense this year. Our 4 spot really being able to shoot the basketball, him and Hottis. Lathan can shoot the three, and it also opens up Frank down low. It allows us to, get some duck-ins and play 4 out, 1 in, how my teams have usually played in the past when you have those guys on the perimeter that can shoot. But Jacob's going to be a huge part of it, and he's shooting the ball at a really high clip this summer.
I saw a comment yesterday from Rick Pitino that said the true point guard no longer exists in basketball, and I thought, has he never seen J.J. Mandequit play? Would you disagree, not necessarily with him, but with that idea that the true point guard, everybody's a combo guard now?
Yeah, it's funny because Mitch, our SID, he actually texted me that last night too, and we were having some conversation about it. I disagree to an extent. I think if you look at probably 90% of the guards out there, what Coach Pitino's talking about is like that's where the game's getting to. Even in the NBA, there's very few Chris Pauls. There's John Stockton, but that's the mold JJ is. That's the mold the kid I had, Darius Brown. That's what he was. Harold Frey, who I had, who just won the EuroLeague championship. That's what he was. Like old school throwback point guards that can do everything, but they just make the right basketball play. And they're pass first guys. That's hard to find nowadays, a pass first point guard. A guy that enjoys and takes joy in getting a teammate a shot. That's hard to find because everybody wants to score, and that's what they're watching on TV, and that's what they're being told to do. But that's what makes JJ special. That's why he had a significant impact on Team USA this year. And even their coach, Coach Lloyd and Coach McCaslin, who's at Texas Tech, that's the one thing they talked about JJ. They're just he's just a winner. We have all these guys that want to shoot the basketball. He's the one facilitating and keeping everybody happy. And so to your point, I still love, the old school point guards and, and guys that take joy in getting their teammates a shot and leading the team and being the head of the snake defensively and getting the team in a huddle, all those little things. And that's what he does. I don't know if I answered your question, but I still like the old school point guards too.
Kamari Peterson is a guy kind of like Jacob, was able to fill it up at his previous school. Coming in here, looks like he doing some of the same thing, but also has an unbelievable motor.
Yeah.
What has he done on the court for you guys as well as in the locker room with a bunch of new guys as well?
Yeah, he doesn't – he's actually gotten out of his shell a little bit. He's normally quiet. He's just a lead by example. But I'm proud of him because he is starting to talk a lot as a point guard because you do need that. I was talking with our athletic director last night, Pat Chun, and it's you've never had a quiet quarterback lead your team to a national championship. You've never had a quiet point guard lead a team to a national championship at this level. And that's where we got to get him, and he is getting better at it. But his toughness, like I mentioned, he got his tooth cracked 2 weeks ago in practice, and he did not wince, he did not whine. He came back to the huddle. He's sitting there looking at me, and and I'm like, hey man, go see the trainer. Where's your tooth? But he didn't care. But that just showed that's what Gary Indiana is. That's what Kamari Peterson is, and that's why he's going to make a significant impact on our team. And our players have so much respect for him because of his toughness. But as you mentioned, him and Jacob were both Player of the Year in their conference. And those two have maybe been two of the most unselfish, especially on the offensive end, of guys of taking joy in getting, moving the basketball, being facilitators and getting our offense moving side to side, what you have to do at this level. So really proud of him, but he can really shoot the basketball. But I can see him easily averaging 5 assists a game too, because he's capable of doing that.
The cracked tooth, was that Frank, by the way?
No, it was JJ. Yeah, I don't know if he JJ drove by him and he caught his elbow, but yeah, literally just cracked his tooth right in half.
Year 1 to year 2 is a big thing for a lot of freshmen, and Zoom last year I thought was in some situations where that wasn't the best for him. You've got a couple of guys that can do the things he was asked to do last year, freeing up Zoom.
Yep.
It looks like, and his shot looks a lot better. Can you talk about the improvement Zoom has made and how that's freed him up, not having to be in those type of situations?
Yeah, Zoom's made huge strides. He made huge strides even during the season last year. I could see him, and even though a lot of times on the court, and he had a great freshman year. And it was great that we had to play him so many minutes to go through some of those ups and downs, and now applying some of those down moments, that's what he's done, and that's what good players do. And then he's accentuated some of the really good things he's doing, like driving the basketball downhill. But his decision-making, and you can just see the game slow down. And I've seen it with every player that's come through my program. They improve year to year. They have a comfort level of what we're doing, what the expectations are every year, and guys improve. And I expect him to even make another jump from sophomore to junior year, because the one thing is Zoom cares. That this team, they care. Our care factor is completely different. And that's why I'm really excited. And I love coming into practice every day coaching these guys. Even in July or whatever it is, August. I don't even know what day it is, but like it could be hot. Like they have great energy, and Zoom's one of those guys that does that every day. But his improvement, he's shooting the basketball with a lot more confidence. He's put a lot of work into it. But I think the biggest thing is he's moving better too. He's been doing some hot yoga, just to kind of loosen up his hips and be able to move laterally better. And you can see it on the court. You really can. But the game has slowed down tremendously for him. And I'm expecting him to have a huge impact this year.
Sorry. You've got like at least 4 guards that were starters last year someplace. And you've talked about how right now you're interchanging everybody and you're going to have to set some roles once school starts and things like that. Do you think everybody's going to be good with just as long as they're playing and winning rather than having to be the starter?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully. We've talked about it even a lot this summer. Like, everybody has to sacrifice. In order for us to compete for a Big Ten championship and to advance in the NCAA tournament, like, you have to sacrifice. And I look at, like Michigan State last year, won the regular season. I think they had like 8 guys between 7 points and 12 points a game. Jace Richardson came off the bench. He's a first-round draft pick. Came off the bench. That's sacrifice. That's being invested in Michigan State basketball. We have to get our guys, if we want to win at the level that we want to win at, everybody's got to sacrifice a little bit. Kamari and Jacob, player of the year. At the Division I level, player of the year in their leagues. Okay? They have a different role than they did at East Tennessee State and Lipscomb. Okay? Zoom, he's going to have a different role than he did on last year's team. We're way more talented this year than we had last year. Even though he's gotten way better, his role, it'll still be the same, but like it does change a little bit. Desmond and Wesley, okay? They're going to have different roles. You can only take one shot a possession. There's only one ball. We talk about sacrifice cuts, sacrifice running, like our post guys storming down. Like, that's a sacrifice. You may not get the ball. You may get Wesley a shot because his guy has to help in transition. I might cut if I'm Wesley just to drag 2 guys to get Zoom a shot, and if we can sacrifice and do those little things for each other, that's our only chance to win at this level. Every team in our league, and I know everybody's, Washington, yeah, we are more talented. We are. So's every other Big Ten team. You look at the recruiting rankings, okay, every single team got better. And so we have to match that. And the only way to match that is, yeah, you have to have the talent, but our toughness and our sacrifice level, that has to be at the utmost importance every day. Every day in the weight room, every day together, off the court, every day in practice.
And one more. Last time we were here, we got your non-conference schedule.
Yeah.
And to me, it seemed kind of funny, or not funny, or maybe ironic, but you have an exhibition game with UNLV.
Yeah.
And I thought, why wouldn't that just kind of slide down into the mix and be a real one?
You only get so many games.
Yeah.
If we could play 40 games, it would be a real game.
So the schedule's already set before
Yeah.
They agreed to come up and do
Yeah.
it. Was it a close scrimmage? Or?
No, it'll actually be open to the fans.
Oh.
It'll be because you can do that now per NCAA rules. That you used to have the scrimmages where it has to be closed door, you couldn't keep score and all sorts of stuff. Now they opened it up, so we'll actually be able to have. It's right after the Michigan football game. We're at Michigan, and then that's Sunday, and I believe we have to play it at noon, so that way, because with the exhibition and the scrimmages, like you can't miss class, so we have to get UNLV home Sunday night. So I think it'll be like a noon or a 1 p.m. game, but it'll be open to the fans.
I feel like we've asked you a lot about JJ and Hottis over the course of these sessions. Can you talk a little bit about Courtland Muldrew and just your Renter and how you've seen them grow and what they bring to the table?
Yeah, Courtland was phenomenal this morning. Courtland is that wild horse. I mean, literally, like, every time I see him, he is so fast. I mean, if we run a line and I just say, hey, whoever wins it, like, he's going to win it. He is so fast and athletic for his size. Now we just have to – I don't want him to lose that. Like, I need him to be that aggressive, especially defensively. And it's a God's gift to him, man. Like, he's so athletic and fast twitch. But now, like, he's got to do it without fouling. He's got to drive in there but still use that speed and athleticism but be under control. Because there's times it's like electric, like literally like John Morant. And then there's times where it's like bowling pins. He's just running 10 guys over. So it's once we kind of corral that wild horse, like he's going to be tremendous because he can really score the basketball. He could be our best defender, just because of his physical attributes, and he's got some stuff to him. Like he takes pride in getting after guys and getting in guys' skin. Like he loves guarding Wesley and Zoom and Desmond and these guys and he's fouling them. We're not calling it, but like he loves like being that kind of instigator, which I love because he's an energy giver. But he's been tremendous. Jasir has a chance to be really good. He's got great size. He's going to continue to get better shooting the basketball. He's a good shooter, and he's really improved even since last year, his high school year. But I think he could be a tremendous 40 to 45% three-point shooter. And another thing, he's 6'5" and just really athletic. Now it's if we can get him playing like Courtland, just with that reckless abandon, like literally just being a wild banshee, like the sky's the limit for him. He's being a little bit too cautious for me right now, and I'm trying to get him out of his comfort zone and kind of prod him and challenge him a little bit, because with his athleticism and his gifts, like he's got to play a little reckless.
How do you do that when it comes to getting guys out of their comfort zone and just encouraging them to do new things at this level?
I only know one way, and it's sometimes probably not the best way, but I just challenge them in front of everybody. Like I don't shy away from it. Like I told him this morning, like he's too talented, and we need him. For us to be the best team we can be and for him to be the best player he can be, sometimes I have to hurt his feelings. And I have to do it in front of everybody, and sometimes it's just me and him. But like competitiveness-wise, once he figures that out, it's going to go to another level. And I don't know if he's just being a freshman right now, feeling stuff out. I don't need you to feel anything out. I need you to go initiate the contact. And once he starts doing that, the sky's the limit, because he's an unbelievable kid. He's a pleaser. He wants to do the right thing, and I don't know if it's just he needs me to be like, no, I need you to just go play with reckless abandon, and really once he's doing it, like complimenting him on like, hey, great job, because that's what we need from him.
You got a highly rated guy that not many of us have talked about, and I haven't seen a lot, but Bryson Tucker.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a 5-star guy, but even though I haven't seen much, he seems like one of those quietly efficient guys. Am I not seeing it correctly?
No, he is. He can really score the basketball. He's another guy who, like we tell him, there's a difference between playing hard and competing. Everybody plays hard, like competing, and like Josh here, like I gotta get my hooks into him and get him competing, because he wants to. Like he cares a lot about the game and being good and being a great teammate, but like really getting him doing other things other than scoring, because he is so talented. He's an unbelievably quick jumper, just fast twitch. Like he can get his shot off. He's like that old NBA, like mid-range. He's phenomenal. We got to continue to work on his three-pointer, and then all the other stuff, passing, defense, rebounding, because he's more than capable of being a tremendous player. And for him to have the career he wants, that's stuff that, we got to help get out of him. And I don't know if he hasn't been pushed in some of those aspects, but like I'm going to push him in those aspects. Because in order for him to be a great Big Ten player, which we expect, that's what he's got to do. But he is unbelievably gifted at shooting the basketball, especially off the dribble and getting to the elbows and shooting over guys, because he is, 6'6", 6'7".
It felt like last year at times things might have got clogged up, and you've talked a lot about moving the ball more horizontally, getting that spacing going more. How do you see yourself with the roster you have, being able to do that differently this year as opposed to last year?
Yeah, our guards, it's completely different. We have some really good downhill guards who initiate contact. Like they love contact, and I think we're going to draw a lot of fouls this year. Dez, Zoom, Wesley, Kamari, JJ, like when they drive, they're driving to hit you. Like, if they don't have a direct line to the rim, like, they're going to hit you. And I love it because it's going to make teams guard us without using their hands. And I think it's going to be really hard to keep some of our guys out of the paint. But the quicker we move the ball and open up some of those long closeouts so we can attack with our quickness and our guards, it's going to be really hard to guard. You know, where last year, you know, these guys, I can just give them the ball and they can get by a guy. You know, last year we didn't necessarily have that. You know, other than Zoom. You know, Zoom, Tyree at times could if it was a straight line, but, you know, Zoom had some shiftiness to him. Where now we have, you know, 4, 5, 6 guys that can do that.
And then defensively too, the athleticism, the height, the strength, it seems like that's all gone up in a positive way. How do you see that affecting the defensive end? And then is that also affect your guys' pace offensively, being able to force turnovers, get rebounds, move the ball?
Yeah, and we're gonna pressure a lot more this year. We're gonna be a lot more aggressive. Because even last year, like, we did have some length. You know, Tyler and Makai, like, they could do some good things. And Tyree was our best defender. But, like, this year, like, the aggressiveness is different. You know, like the aggressiveness and competitiveness at the guard spot is just, it's different. And, you know, and those guys know. Like, they see the other 5 guards, like, they know that that's what they got to do to stay on the court. Because once games start, we're not playing purple versus gold. You know, it's purple versus green, it's purple versus yellow, and we can only have 5 guys on the court, and there's going to be some guys on the bench too. And that's a lot of times when the wake-up call comes. But these guys, I think they see it early because they've all, you know, pretty much been at the Division I level other than the freshmen, and they know how this works.
Yeah, just one more. Just between now and the start of the season, can you maybe give us a little bit of an idea of schedule-wise what you can do with the team between now and then?
Yeah, we'll get next week. Will be our last week of the summer. And now we have to say, because we're a quarter school, so we don't start school till end of September. So we save 3 weeks. So we practice 5 weeks this summer. We'll save 3 for after Labor Day. So that way we can bring them back after Labor Day, have 3 weeks, and then go into official practice. Now, in the summer stuff, you only get 4 hours a week on the court, and then 4 hours in the weight room or conditioning. And then once the end of September hits, you get 20 hours. And that's when we'll pretty much be going 5 to 6 days a week. And that's when, you know, the back-to-back to 2.5-hour practices that we can really start, you know, slowing things down a little bit and really teaching and breaking down exactly what we want going into the season and implementing a lot more stuff. You know, this year we've kind of implemented just our speed game this summer, like getting these guys to play fast, getting them to go to the offensive glass. We haven't spent as much time defensively as I usually have in the past, but with so many new guys, and I know we're going to be an offensive-minded team, and we needed to get them playing the right way and sharing the basketball, so we actually spent more time offensively this summer. But we'll get more into the nitty-gritty with the defensive stuff come September. You bet. Thanks, guys.